Mira and Harper Audio present Heels of Steel by Barbara Kavovit. Performed by Lisa Flanagan. This book is dedicated to my mom, for giving me the discipline, determination, and belief in myself to never give up and never stop swimming. You are the true essence of an independent woman, and I love you. My dad, my love for you is endless, and I miss you every day. Thank you for putting a hammer in my hand when I was 9 years old, and for all the building projects we did together. Your encouragement and belief that a young girl from the Bronx could be a successful entrepreneur and own a construction company was second only to your love and support. My sister, Karen Kavovit, thank you for your friendship, love, and support throughout the years. You are the best sister anyone can ask for, and I love you. My son, Zachary Kavovit, you are my inspiration, my love, my light and life. Don't forget to just keep swimming. I love you. Part 1. Chapter 1. Bridget Steele's father taught her 2 things she never forgot: how to fight and how to build. The fight lessons started after Bridget was mugged in an elevator by a full-grown man who was either dumb or desperate enough to think a 10-year-old girl would be carrying anything of value. "Hold the door," he'd called, and obediently Bridget held the door, allowing him in. She would dream about that mistake for years to come. His mouth slack and wet, his eyes twin points of bleakness, his breath hot and foul on her cheek as he turned and almost casually slammed her up against the wall, one hand on her throat, the other crudely groping and squeezing as he methodically rifled through the pockets of her jacket and jeans. He found her $2 of allowance money, broke the cheap charm bracelet from her wrist, and then, when the elevator doors opened, dropped her to the floor and skittered away, leaving Bridget gasping and shaken. After Bridget managed to make it back to her apartment and, through chattering teeth, explain what had happened to her increasingly alarmed mother, the police were called, and her father rushed home from work. "This is the 3rd one this week," the officer said, as Bridget sat in her father's lap, resisting the urge to turn and sob into his shoulder. "I mean, this is the first time I've heard of a kid this young being targeted, but—" He flipped his notebook closed with a shake of his head. "It seems like the Bronx just ain't what it used to be, you know?" Her parents nodded as the officer promised to get in touch if they managed to track the mugger down. They thanked him as he left. When the door shut, Bridget's mother went into the kitchen to make Bridget some warm milk, and Bridget's father knelt to the floor, gently taking her by the shoulders and looking into her eyes. "You okay, darling?" he said. She nodded. "Are you still scared?" Bridget shrugged, not wanting to let on how her stomach was horribly sour, how a knot in her throat was jerking up and down so that she couldn't speak. Her father bit his lip. His handsome face was flushed, and his warm brown eyes looked suspiciously bright. "Okay," he said, and his voice faltered. He suddenly pulled Bridget toward him and crushed her into his arms, giving her a fierce hug. They stayed that way for a moment, breathing in sync, as Bridget leaned into his familiar warmth. Then he cleared his throat and stood up again. "Okay," he said. "Okay, let me show you how to make a fist." Every day for weeks after he came home from work and before they sat down for dinner, Bridget's dad had taken 20 minutes to teach Bridget how to defend herself. First, he made her promise that if she was ever in a situation like that again, and she saw a chance to get away, that she would take off as fast as her legs could carry her. Run and scream for help. But if she couldn't run, he wanted her to know some basic self-defense.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?